Hey bookaholics, and welcome back to another video. It is tag season! Two of my favourite tags to do on BookTube that I do every single year are both autumn ones, so I figured that I would hop right in and we can start off with the finally fall tag. This one is one that, because I do it every year, it is one that I do where I only talk about the books that I have read within the last 12 months. So from the last time that I did this tag until now, any of those books would work. But without further ado, let's get into the questions. And the first question is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. Now for this one, I have gone with Tales of a Monstrous Heart by Jennifer Delaney. The one thing I love about tags is that I don't need to go hold up books. I will torture myself in editing later and just place pictures here. But we have Tales of a Monstrous Heart, which I did read as part of a buddy read with the two of my friends, and I had a great time reading it. I was shocked by actually how much I liked this one, and I had wanted this one as my pick, and then things got shuffled around, and I had such a good time with it. It's gothic and it's fae. Like, what a combo. Perfect for fans of Sorcery of Thorns. I have had this confirmed to me by Rachel, who also loves Sorcery of Thorns and understood my vibe. So yeah, having a great time with this series. I have heard mixed things about the sequel though, so we'll see how I fare with that, but I loved this. Shocking things actually happen in here, more shocking things than you would expect necessarily from a romance, and also just world building and the vibe and the aesthetic in here. It's got like a subtle dark academia to it. You've also got this sprawling, slightly creepy mansion thing going on that's sentient, and you've got this found family element that gives it a wholesome vibe. Just so many things. Loved it. Fantastic. Would recommend. Question number 2 is, nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. Now this one is not about loss or grief explicitly. It does contain it, but it does overall have quite a few heavy topics, and that is Fair Rosaline by Natasha Solomons. This one is one that I was interested in. I like Shakespeare. I wasn't necessarily biting at the bit to get to because Romeo and Juliet is like one of the most overdone stories, she says, as a fan of Pride and Prejudice. Never mind. But I did really enjoy this one actually. It has some really heavy topics, including things like grooming and things like the mistreatment of women historically, and also systemic ways that the patriarchy is upheld and its abuse of women. There were so many things in here, as well as things like grief, because obviously it is based on a tragedy. So I had a fantastic time with this one. It's gorgeously written as well. Fantastic book. I would highly recommend if you are wanting to check out something Shakespearean-esque. And again, as retellings of Romeo and Juliet goes, I really did enjoy this one because it did take a very different approach to it, especially since we're following Rosaline, who is in some ways the catalyst of Romeo and Juliet, and yet she has no lines in the play. Question number 3 is, fall is back to school season. Share a non-fiction book that taught you something new. Now I haven't read any non-fiction books, but a fiction book that is based on historical fact that was quite an enjoyable time was actually The Rhino Keeper by Gillian Forsberg. This one was actually one of the ones that was recommended to me by my friend Terry. I did it in my friends take over my TBR vlog for him, where he chose some books for me to read, and this was one of them. I did have a really good time with it. It is an idealized version of the time period. It does dilute down some of the things that were very prevalent during that time period, including things like racism and sexism, and also even the likes of animal abuse. It is much more wholesome than I imagine the actual story of this man and his rhino would have been, but I did really enjoy this book, and I would recommend if you're wanting a historical fiction and you want a lighter one and you don't want everything to consistently be really heavy about the past, this is a good one for that. However, on this question, also for back to school season instead of non-fiction, which I don't really read much of, I would also recommend, if you're wanting a back to school book but you are an adult so you don't want to read like a middle grade back to school book, Grimoire Grammar School Parent Teacher Association is a fantastic book for back to school because we're following parents instead of children during the back to school season. So if you are a parent and you want something that feels relatably back to school but that isn't about you going back to school, this was a great one as well. You get 2 recommendations on this one. Question 4 is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend time with people that you love. Name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you would like to be part of. So I am going to go with the Girl Meets Duke series that I've been reading by Tessa Dare. These are Regency romances, starting with the Duchess deal. In this series, each couple is this friendship group of 4 women who are introduced in the first book. And yeah, just that friendship group, like, and you know, as they marry off as well, like the men get brought in as well. And just that whole friendship group seems so adorable. I would love to be part of that friendship group, especially because they are like, it's Regency, so you do have like some of the more like ladylike things, but they are also like very gauche. They're not very typically ladylike, so you have them where they have different skill sets and they embrace their differences, and I don't know, I really enjoy it. I'd love to hang out with these people. Question 5 is, the colourful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall covered spines. I have a photo for this of books that I have read within the last 12-ish months that are fall covered spines. I think I've got Tales of a Monstrous Heart in here if I'm remembering correctly, and obviously I've already mentioned that one. But here are some fall coloured spines. I don't know, I don't really like this question. Question 6 is, fall is a perfect time for storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. For this one, I have gone with A Dark Most Fair by Ellen Riviere, on the basis that this one is one that you have someone telling their own story, and it's almost pitched as like a confession. The very opening of the book is her confessing to the fact that she is culpable of murder, she is culpable of someone's death, she's a kinslayer, and she has no redemption. That's literally how the story opens, and from there on you get told the story of her life and how she comes to be the person that we know she comes to be. I really enjoyed this one. I would highly recommend. It's very underhyped. It's very new. It released this year. Perfect for this season. Go check it out. It's fairy tale vibes, and it's also got fae. It's dark fantasy vibes. Kind of got a historical vibe to it as well. Overall, just wonderful. I'd recommend. Question 7 is, the nights are getting darker. Share a dark and creepy read. Now, I'm not much of a horror girly, but my go-to horror author is Lumen Reese. I've read 2 Lumen Reese books very recently, which are Satan Hides the Hook, which is the second book in the Honorary Sloane series, and also There's Something Wrong in Hugo Creek. For recommendations, I'm going to go with There's Something Wrong in Hugo Creek, on the basis that obviously they're the ones a sequel, so I'd have to recommend the first book first, which doesn't apply to this video because I read it before the criteria for this video. So we're going to go with There's Something Wrong in Hugo Creek, and this one is a Western horror, which I don't like Westerns. If you've ever talked to me, you will know I don't like Westerns. It's not a setting that I like, it's not a vibe that I like. Normally the type of stories that we get with Westerns, not my thing. I gave this 4 stars. I had a fantastic time with this book. I really enjoy Lumen Reese's writing, for starters, but this story is following a family who get attacked by someone who is the son of the mayor of the town. He is the nephew of the sheriff of the town, so they have no power, and therefore they decide to take upon themselves to get revenge. Now, I loved the setting in here because we have so many things. We have this revenge Western plot, but then we also have this kind of like creepy paranormal element with a ghost, and we also have the exploitation of workers being used and playing on people's superstitions and things going on in here in a way that I also really appreciated. So overall, fantastic story. I would highly recommend. And if you are wanting something a bit different and you're wanting to get into some more indie horror, this is a place I'd recommend, especially since it's a standalone. Question number 8 is, the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up someone's cold and rainy day. Now, for me personally, I don't know how much this is going to work for most people because it's gotten mixed reviews, but I have The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. I really liked this. It's sapphic, it's kind of Regency-esque, and it's witches. What a combo. It is me in our book. Had a great time. I got through it really quickly. It's not a very long book, and it's got that autumnal setting. It's perfect for the autumn. I don't know, it's a romance. It's a fantasy romance. You can't go wrong with that for heartwarming, right? And while it does have some wider thematic things that you do sometimes get in romances, and it doesn't only deal with like light surface level things, I just think that it was handled in a way that I really appreciated, and I would recommend you check it out. Number 9 is fall. Luckily, my favorite season returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. Now, I have been having a difficult time with rereading, weirdly, this year. I set out this summer I was going to start rereading some favorites, and I've had a horrible time with it. Not because I don't enjoy it. The problem is that I have a really good memory. So I pick up the book and I start reading it, and then it all starts playing out like a movie in my head when I read. So when I reread, I get ahead of the text. Like, the movie is already playing in my head. The movie that's going in my head, because I know what's coming next, is not lining up with the book because my eyes can't read as fast as my brain can conjure up the image images. And in the end, I just kind of give up on the book and just sit and stare at a wall. And I end up, hallucinating vividly this movie that I have going in my head. And it's not the best experience. So I can stick to my rereads just being like little movies that I have stashed away in my brain at the moment, which is odd. So I've not had the best time with rereading. One thing that I do really enjoy rereading though, and it doesn't matter how cinematic they play out in my head, I can always kind of keep the pace with them because the flow and the pace and the wording of them is just as important as the visuals, are classics. So I reread Jane Austen earlier on this year, so I might do a Bronte one. Let me know if you would like me to do a Bronte month the same way I did Jane Austen month. I would be happy to do so let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. I'm going to go with the Brontes being a good month long. I'm going to dive in. I'm going to watch a load of the adaptations, or like rewatch some of the adaptations if they're ones I've already watched. I'm going to reread all the books. Maybe some of the retellings as well can get thrown in there, exactly as I've been doing with Jane Austen. They are obviously iconic authors and I would love to go back into their works. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in from me. And the final question is, fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. Now I'm gonna take some pictures and insert them here because I don't know how to make things look aesthetic on video. It's not a talent that I possess, but I do have a really, really adorable mug that is mushroom shaped and it's one of my favorite possessions. I recently bought myself a mushroom pen as well, which seems to be very coveted, so I loved that. That was beautiful as well. So there's a couple of mushroomy things going on there. I'm not sure how much they are in terms of reading accessories, because obviously one is like, well, I drink my coffee while I'm reading quite frequently, and the other is I do sometimes take notes of the books, especially if I'm going to be doing a vlog. So for my October spoiler vlog that I do for my sci-fi book clubs, I do take notes, and I was using that pen because it's a gorgeous pen. So I've got that, but I don't really know anything else that I have that is bookish specifically. There is a candle that I want. I will show a photo here and link the Etsy shop for it down below. I love the look of this and I need it in my life. They have at least 5 candles that I would pay good money for, and they are all at the top of my Christmas list. So the hope is by the end of the year I will own this, but as of yet I do not. So I don't have a huge amount to add to this one, but just mushrooms, all the mushrooms. That's about it though. I did get some ceramic mushrooms, but again, they're not reading accessories, so none of that is going on here. But that is it for this tag. Thankfully it's a nice quick one to get through, but I do really enjoy talking through like autumnal vibes, so I hope that you've enjoyed the video as much as I've enjoyed making it. And yeah, let me know what your favorite autumnal book is. What is a book that just, if autumn could be a book, what would it look like? Because I know that some of us think of autumn as like, Gilmore Girls, the kind of cozy end of autumn. Some of us think of it as like back to school, dark academia season. Some of us think of it as like dark, Halloweeny, creepy, atmospheric books. Some of us think of it as witchy. So let me know what your favorite books that represent autumn for you are. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But that's all from me for today. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I will hopefully catch you in another one soon.